Hey everyone, today I'm going to rank 20 games that released in 2025 that I played. 2025 was a brilliant year for gaming, and while I wish I could have played more, there is only limited time. I hope you all will find something good for yourself through these rankings. So without any further delay, let's get to it. At number 20, we have Lost Soul Aside. Lost Soul Aside is an action RPG from Ulti-Zero Games and game was published by Sony. It was an ambitious project. It tried to do a lot of things, but I'm afraid to say that it did not deliver on those fronts. The game would have benefited from shorter length and would have offered developers more time to fine-tune the game properly instead of turning it into a slogfest. Abrupt ending to the cutscenes did not help my experience at all. Game offers some of the very best cutscenes and at times reminds you of Final Fantasy XVI. The combat was very well done and it was fun to try out all the weapon types alongside all the platforming game had to offer. The game's visual design stands out and at times it was sight to behold. But if there is one feedback that I would like to give to developers, it would be quality over quantity, please. At number 19, we have Avowed. Avowed is an action role-playing game developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Xbox Game Studios. It showed a lot of promise and I liked the combat in the game, and some of the art design of the game was incredible. The dialogue and writing was good and it kept me engaged throughout the game. However, the game didn't shine on its RPG elements as we have seen in other Obsidian games like The Outer Worlds. The game's world felt a little bit empty and the side quests were not very engaging. Overall, Avowed is a decent RPG that offers a decent experience but falls short of being exceptional because of some of the core RPG elements missing that we have come to expect of Obsidian Entertainment. At number 18, we have Wuchang the Fallen Feather. Wuchang the Fallen Feather is a Souls-like game. I had a great time playing it. I appreciated most of the unique things that the devs tried to do with this game. The inclusion of new mechanics of madness was unique, and if you made the most out of it, it made your life easier than difficult. The things that stood out for me was exploration, combat, and weapon skills. But the things that I did not appreciate were some of the fake shrines, overpowered weapons, and unbalanced fights. Well, if you like Souls-like games, then I'm sure you'll have a good time with it. And if you are somebody who's trying to get into Souls-like genre, I think this would be a good place to start because the game has some overpowered weapons that could help you in having an easier time while playing the Souls-like games. So go ahead, give it a try. At number 17, we have Hell Is Us. Hell Is Us is an action-adventure game developed by Rogue Factor and published by Nacon. Games like Hell Is Us do not come around often. It's a proper gamer's game, a game that invokes your curiosity and implores you to explore. The game could have benefited from shorter game time because solving puzzles after puzzle eventually drains you out, but hey, maybe you don't want to finish a game in 1 week like me. So maybe it's all good there, you know. The game has a very few boss fights, but they sure are very unique. There were not enough enemy variations to go with the length of the game, but at least the combat felt buttery smooth. Rogue Factor have done a very good job of shipping out a well-polished game. I did not encounter a single bug throughout my play. Overall, the sense of satisfaction you get from playing this game is very high. At number 16, we have Where Winds Meet. Where Winds Meet is a wuxia action-adventure role-playing game developed by Everstone Studio and published by NetEase Games. For a free-to-play game, this game blew my mind on various levels. But if you put it in the same bracket as the other paid games, the game falls short of various aspects. While the combat truly shines across all difficulty, the immersion in the game is hard to come by. If you like challenging games and boss fights, I would absolutely recommend this. Otherwise, you are fine without it. At number 15, we have South of Midnight. South of Midnight is an action-adventure game developed by Compulsion Studio and published by Xbox Game Studios. It was a very good game, but I couldn't recommend it at full price as the game didn't bring anything new to the table. The game had decent combat and gameplay, but it all got repetitive real quick. The game had a good story and I think it's worth checking out at this point. So maybe you wanna try it out. Let me know if you do. At number 14, we have Mafia: The Old Country. Mafia: The Old Country is an action-adventure game developed by Hangar 13 and published by 2K. It is the fourth main entry in the Mafia franchise. As my first Mafia game, Mafia: The Old Country was a good experience. The thing that stood out the most was the story and portrayal of the characters by each of the actors. They brought this game to life. From gameplay point of view, there wasn't really much to offer, but it was good to play a non-complex game. Sometimes it's all that you need. Finishing Mafia: The Old Country left me wondering about how other Mafia games are like, given that this one was very well crafted. Overall, I think there is a good chance that you will end up liking this game for all its simplicity. I would say it's worth your experience. At number 13, we have Chronos: The New Dawn. Chronos: The New Dawn is a survival horror game developed and published by Bloober Team. Overall, I thought the game was an excellent survival horror experience with a solid but a very complex storyline. The game shined through its enemy design and enemy area design, but I was let down by repetitive nature of the game, and game could have easily avoided it. All I can say is if you like survival horror games, then you might enjoy this game very much. So give it a chance. At number 12, we have Metroid Prime 4. It is an action-adventure game developed by Retro Studios and published by Nintendo. As my first Metroid Prime game, I was pleased by Metroid Prime 4. Apart from the green crystal farming and sometimes more than usual use of scans, I enjoyed the game very much. Talking to my friends and followers, I found a sense of disappointment in them towards the game since they're long-time fans of franchise. But as a new guy into it, I enjoyed the game. All I can say is, if you like exploration and some good battles, you will not be disappointed by Metroid Prime 4. At number 11, we have Metal Gear Solid Delta: Snake Eater. It is a remake of 2004 Metal Gear Solid game, the fifth main entry in the Metal Gear franchise. The game managed to preserve the authentic experience of original game, and I could tell by how dated and clunky the control felt. While it may have been an excellent experience for the original players, not so much for a new player of this franchise. I would have appreciated this remake much more if they modernized the game properly. Some of the in-game things just don't fly for the current era and were outright laughable or janky. But one thing that stands out for me is definitely the boss fights and the Kojima experience. That is, more than one option to solve a problem. Kojima would have never made this game in 2025. How do I know? Because he made Death Stranding too. At number 10, we have Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter Wilds is an action role-playing game developed and published by Capcom. This was my first Monster Hunter game and then enjoyed the combat. What I discovered by playing this game is that I didn't like grinding that much. The game has a lot of it, and I found myself doing the same thing over and over again to get better gear. The game has a good variety of monsters to hunt, and the combat is satisfying, but the grindy nature of the game made it hard for me to enjoy it fully. But hey, if you like Monster Hunter games and you like the whole mechanic of killing bosses to get better gear so that you could kill even bigger boss, then this could be a game for you. So try it out and let me know how it goes. At number 9, we have Kazan. Kazan is an action RPG game developed by Napple and published by Nexon. It is one of the good Souls-like games that came out in 2025. It is a great game for gamers who like punishing bosses and want to enjoy the parry and dodge mechanics in a game. I felt that the haptic feedback from the controller is one of the best in any combat-oriented game. Game does get repetitive and you can start to feel that the game is stretching itself by introducing very similar bosses. If you're looking to get into this genre of gaming, I do not recommend you start here, but if you are a fan of this genre, you might find something to like here, as this game had some of the most brutal boss fights ever. Alright, at number 8 we have Silent Hill F. Silent Hill F is a survival horror game developed by Neo Brand Entertainment and published by Konami. It is a delight for horror fans for sure. Most elements come together to create an excellent experience even if combat isn't perfect. One of the drawbacks of this game was that you could just run away from the enemies because there was no incentive for you to clear the enemies, as they would not drop anything when you defeat them. So you could just run and get through the game without fighting any of the enemies. Just the bosses is all that you have to fight. So that's one of my complaints about this game, but otherwise the puzzles are excellent, pulling you deeper into the lore of Silent Hill F while adding layers to the story. Overall, I feel like if you enjoy survival horror, you'll have an excellent time with Silent Hill F. There's a lot to explore in this game, and the fog, the never-ending fog, oh my god, that's like one of the most intense things that you can see in this game. You just don't know what's next to you. So that whole atmosphere that was created by this team, it was excellent. I think you'll like it. Yeah, if you like survival horror, give it a shot. Alright, at number 7 we have Doom: The Dark Ages. Doom: The Dark Ages is a first-person shooter game developed by ID Software and published by Bethesda Softworks. In my playthrough of the game, I always kept thinking about, like, what a cool game. It's a game that probably makes a newbie fall in love with video games. The game was bug-free for me. It is a very thrilling entry point to the franchise with heart-pounding combat, a killer aesthetic, and a story that hooked me despite some flat characters. It held really well and kept me excited almost all the time except for parts of the game where one task was done one too many times and made it feel repetitive. At number 6 we have Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is an action-adventure game developed by Ubisoft, and it is a solid entry into Assassin's Creed franchise. The game offers a compelling story, engaging gameplay, and a beautifully crafted world to explore. The stealth mechanics are well implemented, allowing for a variety of approaches to missions. The parkour system is fluid, making traversal enjoyable and satisfying. The game also introduces new features and mechanics that enhances the overall experience. If you are a fan of Assassin's Creed series or enjoy action-adventure games, I think Shadows is definitely worth checking out. I enjoyed the new combat system. I just wish the game was not a checklist of enemies to defeat. Apart from that, very solid game. I think you should give it a try. Okay, so we are now down to top 5. At number 5 we have Split Fiction. Split Fiction is an action-adventure game developed by Hazelight Studios and published by Electronic Arts. It's a split-screen co-op game that you can play locally or over the internet with a friend. In first few hours of the game, I had a feeling that how is this game any different from any other platformers out there like Astrobot? But as I played more, the perspective and unique tricks a two-player game brings to the table is mind-blowing. As you progress through levels, new tricks come out and you are thoroughly entertained by it. Especially the last chapter. Oh, I will never forget the last chapter. You'll have to experience it. Split Fiction is one of those games that you will thoroughly enjoy when you are playing it. Talk about it for next couple of hours with your partner and then move on. But you would be glad that you went through that experience, because games like Split Fiction are a rarity, and if you ever get an opportunity, just don't pass on it. Trust me. At number 4, we have Ghost of Yotei. Ghost of Yotei is an action-adventure game developed by Sucker Punch Productions and published by Sony, of course. It is a complete experience that excels in nearly every category. The organic side quests, fluid mission flow, and polished combat made it one of the most enjoyable open-world games in recent memory. Erika Ishii's portrayal of Atsu is outstanding. Her performance brings real emotion and depth to the story. The combat delivers on all fronts, and the optional bosses are both challenging and rewarding. If there is one thing I wish the game had at launch, it's a new Game Plus mode. Alright, at number 3 we have Expedition 33. Expedition 33 is a role-playing video game developed by French studio Sandfall Interactive and published by Kepler Interactive. It will forever be known to me as a game that made me want to try more JRPGs. The game captures you like no other, starting with its original soundtrack, and doesn't let you off until the very end. It's one of those games that comes out maybe once or twice in a decade and reshape where the industry is moving. This game certainly met every gamer's expectations that they want from a game and made it fun and even emotional. This is a game that you definitely need to check out, so give it a shot. At number 2, we have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It is a proper role-playing game developed by Warhorse Studios and published by Deep Silver. This is one of the best RPG that you will play from last year or even last 5 years. It delivers on all fronts, and it's a game you will think about when you are not even playing it. My preferred genre is action game, but this game has paved the way forward for me to believe a little more in the RPG games, and I'm looking forward to what more Warhorse Studio has for us in the locker. If you like the RPGs, this game is a must play, and if you get bored of RPGs real quick, then this game surely is a must play, because this game will change your opinion about RPGs. So definitely worth a shot. Alright, on to the number 1. My favorite game of the year, and it was Death Stranding 2. This game is primarily set in Australia, and it's 11 months after the events of the first game. You don't really need to play the first one because the second game gives you the recap of what happened in the first game, but I would still recommend that you play the first one before you go for the second one, because the first one just sets up a lot of things so that it makes your experience on the second one much better. It is a game that will make you immersed in its world. It's one of those games where I wanted to build a better world, not just for myself but for others too. The story binds every aspect of the game very well and introduces a couple of goosebump moments which will live in your memory for a while, I would say. The end sequence of the game is something you can never even imagine, and even though you end up beating the main story, you will always want to go back and deliver more orders to not only help make the Death Stranding world better, but also unlock the many perks that could completely change your game experience. Death Stranding games are a unique experience. I know people say that it's a walking simulator and whatnot, but I think you should genuinely try it, because once you experience that game, you will have a good feeling about video games in general, because it just offers so much on a different level. So give it a shot. Alright, that's all for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed my ranking of the games I played in 2025. If you have any questions or want to share your own rankings, feel free to drop a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next one. Have a good one. Bye.